This is the longest sleeper train journey across Canada that you've probably never heard of, and over the next 5 days, I'll be riding east through the dense coastal rainforest of the Pacific Northwest, gliding past colossal glaciers, and drifting into the fall colors as we trek into the Canadian Rockies before rolling on the wide open prairies. From cotton candy skies at sunrise to the red hue of the sunsets over the horizon and crossing over towering trestles, I'll share the stories that built Canada's second transcontinental railway, all while traveling over 3,000 kilometers by rail from Canada's wettest city to one of the coldest. This trip may not have gone exactly as planned, but it is all aboard for a train journey unlike any other. From dining in first class to showering on board and my sleeper accommodations, this video is sponsored by CanadaRail.ca. Let's begin. Last week, I spent 5 days here in the Rainbow City in what I believe is Canada's best kept secret, Prince Rupert. From whale watching off the Alaskan border, dining in a reborn century-old train station, serving world-class pizza, soaring above the harbor in a floatplane, fly fishing, great sunsets, or any of the other amazing gems along the way, this town once marked the western terminus for a railway empire that never was. And that was the Grand Trunk Pacific Railway. And their president, Charles Melville Hayes, called Prince Rupert Canada's future metropolis of the North. From the Chateau-style hotel that he planned to erect here and headline 7 more across the country, or the most scenic main line over 3,000 kilometers from Prince Rupert to the city that I was born in Winnipeg, Manitoba. And that is the exact trip that I'm doing today. Be a good day to ride a train too. Most scenic train journey, Rupert to Winnipeg. So good morning from Prince Rupert. This is home of the Skeena train. The Skeena goes from Prince Rupert, Prince George to Jasper, and this is going to be part of the most beautiful train journey on Earth. I'm going to spend the next four and a half, almost 5 days going from Prince Rupert all the way to Winnipeg. I think our train is coming. And there she is, Via Rail train number 6. Known by locals as the Rupert Rocket, but more formally as the Skeena. Now, this is the BC Ferries terminal, which is actually our starting station this morning, and I covered it more in depth last week, but the original Prince Rupert station would open in 1922 by the Canadian National Railways and would close in 1986 in favor of today's ferry terminal. Now, that original station did reopen in 2023, serving world-class pizza and brews. And how cool would it be if they could use that station again? Maybe not so much when the train leaves in the morning, but when it arrives in the evening, passengers get off the train and only steps away from world-class pizza and carbonated green tea. Who knows? Maybe I'm dreaming a little bit too big, but what an idea that is. But anyway, back at the ferry terminal, I would board our Silver Bullet for the start of 3,000 kilometers of track ahead of me. The Prince Rupert to Jasper portion, I think, is hands down the most beautiful portion of track, beautiful stretch of track on the entire continent. The rainforest, towering canyons, towering peaks, the glaciers, especially going eastbound when all the good stuff is in the light, as opposed to going westbound, you might miss it if the train's late. And then you couple that with the Rocky Mountains of Jasper, the tallest peak of Mount Robson, going east through the Qu'Appelle Valley and the prairies of Manitoba, Saskatchewan, in the fall colors, prime time right here at the end of September. If the weather cooperates, which it already is out of Prince Rupert, which is very rare, this has the potential to be the greatest, most beautiful, stunning, world-class train experience on the continent. There's a lot of potential here. I like it. And there's 5 more days ahead of this. Terrace. Terrace was the final westward settlement for the Grand Trunk Pacific before Prince Rupert. And today about 12,000 people call it home. And this station, built in 1914, still stands, making it 111 years old. And I'd actually never been inside before, so I'd poke my head in, and I found this absolutely adorable little coffee shop. I mean, tell me this wouldn't be perfect in the middle of winter, in January, get off the train, into the snow, get a nice warm drink. Sadly, this stop was only long enough to board a few passengers, so no latte for me. I guess that just means I now have an excuse to come back to Terrace in the future. Alright, I gotta go. Thanks for waiting. Out of Terrace, the forest greens begin fading into the fall yellows and oranges as we enter the Bulkley Canyon. This route retraces the original Grand Trunk Pacific Main Line, and it was actually the most expensive coast-to-coast railway ever built in Canada, from Winnipeg to Rupert, at over $100,000 per mile of track. And the area that we're in right now got upwards as high as $125,000 per mile back in 1912 when they were building it. And I was about to see why.
Look on the right side, that is some of the peaks of the Seven Sisters Range. We'll be following this for a good 16 miles or so. We'll get some views of that. Hopefully the clouds disperse a little bit.
We begin creeping up on one of my favorite stretches of track along this route, the Seven Sisters Peaks. Now, the misty morning will hide them a little bit at first, but we're going to be following them for almost 17 miles. So don't worry, we'll see them from a few different angles. And this multi-summit giant rises 2,700 meters high, and as the clouds will begin to lift, its jagged edges will begin to cut right through the clouds, revealing the massive glacier towards the top, all looking down on us, and the drink below, the Skeena River, as she's going to guide us almost about halfway to Prince George for later tonight. This will be the last glimpse of the Seven Sisters that we will see on this trip, but considering that it was supposed to rain all day long, I'm not complaining. Especially on a beautiful morning like this, with the sun creeping through the trees, shining down up here in the park car dome, snacking on some dates and pecans, and soaking in the fall colors, all in the Rolls Royce of the North. Okay, the next one's better. This is not the best one.
Bye!
There we go.
That's the best view of a glacier that you can see from a Via Rail train, right there. That means we're only about 5 miles from Smithers.
And as we continue to follow the ever-evolving landscapes, we make it to our halfway point of day one. Alrighty. Oh, God. Smithers. This is the beautiful town of Smithers, BC, framed by these stunning snow-capped mountains rising behind our silver bullet, and 5,000 locals call this town home, named after Alfred Smithers, head chairman of the Grand Trunk Pacific at the time of its settlement. But for me personally, as the station sign alludes to here, Smithers means I am 226 miles into my journey with over 1,500 more to go. And most of that is going to be spent right here in the Revelstoke Park Car, the final car in the consist, crowned with the world-famous observation domes. These park cars were ordered by the Canadian Pacific in 1953 and named after some of the national parks along their main line. Now, this one is obviously named after Revelstoke National Park, which, funny enough, I actually did a full video on 2 weeks ago, if you want to check that out after you're done watching this video. But even though this train doesn't run anywhere near the Canadian Pacific main line today, when Via Rail Canada inherited all the equipment in 1978 from Canadian Pacific and Canadian National and handed off all their passenger service to Via, it made enjoying this route this way a reality. Out of Smithers, we're about 5 hours from Prince George, but that is also assuming we're on time. And Forrest Gump did once say life is like a box of chocolates, but I would argue life is more like a train. You never know when you're going to get there. But that's also why I love doing trips like this. I'm not trying to get anywhere fast. I'm just trying to enjoy it. And it is a bit hard to believe that we're approaching 12 hours on board and only slowly trickling into Prince George. But believe it or not, when Via Rail took over this route from Canadian National in the 1970s, the full Winnipeg to Prince Rupert run took 48 hours. You would leave Winnipeg Union Station on a Friday morning and wake up in Prince Rupert Sunday morning. And that same train ran every single day in both directions. Now I'm doing that exact same trip here in 2025. And if everything is on time, this is a big if, it is going to ring in just shy of 5 days, 110 hours to be exact. And technically speaking, this isn't even a route that Via Rail offers anymore, as I'm combining two connecting trains to simulate that original Grand Trunk Pacific main line. As night fell, we'd roll into Prince George. Now, the Skeena itself has not been a sleeper train in almost 30 years, dating back to the 1990s, so you will need a hotel overnight. And this isn't sponsored, but I cannot recommend Prestige Hotels enough. They're a Canadian brand, father and son owned. They have properties here in PG, in Golden, BC, Prince Rupert, or a sleeper train hotel in Cranbrook, all of which I cannot recommend enough. The next morning was a bit of a cold and wet one, to say the least. Winter is definitely on its way here in the spruce tree capital of the world. But I would take a quick cab from the hotel to the Via Rail station to start day 2 on board, and out of the rain, our train would reappear at 8 a.m. and I'd head to the platform and board for our 8:15 departure east for the Northern Rockies and Jasper for later tonight. We crossed over the freight yards and over the longest rail bridge in the entire province of British Columbia. And the rest of the morning was pretty quiet. Not a lot going on. That was until about 3 hours in. There we go. We got some bears.
Let me get out of the way for you.
Oh, that's so exciting.
I've got my photograph.
They're moving. They black or grizz?
I think those are just
I think they're black.
Yeah. So there's 3 bears. There's 2 at the back, and there's 1 over there. So this is Mr. Fuzzy. He's like the grizzly teddy bear on board the Skeena, and he belongs to a man by the name of Jean-Francois, but it's his bear, and he's one of the service managers on the Skeena route, so he takes Mr. Fuzzy on every excursion, and then when he's not working, leaves him right here. So he's getting close to retirement, but we got 3 bears, 2 at the back, 1 right here. Oh, steaks. Around now, I think I was waking up from my afternoon nap. I mean, listen, it was one of those days. Sleepy, lazy, rainy days. As we would slide into McBride Station. And this is our last major stop of the day, but for Jasper for later tonight. And it was a short one, only long enough to swap out the engineers before we were on the move again, heading for the Rockies. Now, it's worth mentioning, this is not a sleeper train, and nor is there any dining car. Now, you can buy some Mr. Noodles or muffins or sandwiches from the back of the park car, but personally, I'm trying to keep my petite dancer's figure in check for my plane days, so I brought a couple snacks of my own, brought a bunch of blueberries, some pecans, fresh dates, and a family-sized jug of water. It's not perfect, but it's enough to bridge that gap until I can get some dinner off the train later tonight. But the last time I rode the Skeena back in May, I did bring my own Chemex coffee setup to make a pour-over coffee on board. What can I say? I like my coffee hot, and I like it strong, but I'm a bit of a lunatic, so I'm kind of an outlier. But all this will change in Jasper when I get access to a full dining car, breakfast, lunch, and dinner with starters, bread rolls, and dessert, all the way into Winnipeg. And speaking of something to sink your teeth into, this is going to be the only downside of this trip. The overcast out of McBride became so thick that we are going to miss the next 2 big landmarks. The first is Tete Jaune, named after Pierre Bostonnais. I hope I said that right. And he was a Métis fur trader who guided the Hudson's Bay Company here in the 1800s, better known as Yellowhead. And thankfully I have some footage from back in May of this year to just show you how beautiful this area truly is in the sun. And the second is Mount Robson, the tallest peak in the Rockies. And although today she is completely covered in clouds, I got some great stuff from back in the winter last year. Robson stands almost 4,000 meters high. That is 4 kilometers from the valley floor to the top of the summit. And on a clear day, she is truly something magnificent to marvel at. And it's very obvious to me why the Grand Trunk Pacific had elected to construct the Chateau Mount Robson here at the mountain's base. And that would be one of the 8 railway hotels that they had planned across Canada, here specifically designed to compete with the Canadian Pacific's Chateau Lake Louise, only 400 kilometers south. Now, they would dig the foundation in 1913, but that was as far as they made it. And the Chateau Mount Robson never saw the light of day. And at this point, we had less than an hour on board. And as we would cut along the pristine edges along Moose Lake, and those deep oranges really started to appear and show their colors as we make our way into Jasper, Alberta. Rupert to Jasper done. Still got over half left to Winnipeg. Now this is the Jasper Heritage Rail Station. Pretty cute and cozy, right? Almost kind of like a log cabin. And she was built in 1926, and you can get a really great perspective from right on top of town at the Jasper SkyTram, as you see here. Now, if you are new to the channel, welcome. If you're a regular, you know that I like big trains and I cannot lie. Specifically, steam locomotives. And not only does Jasper have a big one, it also has a great story to it, sitting right outside the Heritage train station. So this is 6015. She was one of the last steam locomotives to serve passengers in Canada, and she's been here for over half a century, 1972. But what a lot of people don't know is she's actually not the first steam locomotive to rest in this exact spot. Originally, 6060, the biggest surviving steam locomotive in Canadian history, was sitting here from 1960 until 1972, when Harry Home, one of the heroes of Jasper, you'll notice too when I came in on the Skeena, the divisional sign says Home, named after Harry Home, and he took 6060 off display here, swapped out for 6015, which came from Montreal. She sat here ever since, and then 6060 was taken, restored, and Harry Home, with less than 6 months to do it, was able to refurbish 6060 in her entirety and bring her back with 2 days left for Steam Expo to mark the 100th anniversary of the first transcontinental passenger train. Now, on the downside, 6060 would pull some luxury excursions over the next decade or so, but would be servicing the Alberta Prairie Railway up until about 2012, when she was out of service and retired for good, where she is sat. With the amount of money that Canadian Pacific had put in to 2860 and the Empress pulling across 3 countries, Canada, US, and Mexico, I thought CN might put some money in to restore 6060 since she is in the best condition and the biggest surviving steam locomotive in Canada, but it hasn't happened. So it's such a sad state, but it really underlines the fact that in Canada, it feels to me anyway, like we're taught to hate our history, to throw it out, to, in a lot of cases, scrap it and forget about it. And I hope that this video and all the series that I've done to date have inspired and kind of brought a lot of that history back to life, because when you have a moving giant like this that has sat here for over half a century, not pulling passengers like she was designed to do, that built a country, that built a nation, I find that very sad, and sadly kind of sums up, I guess, the state of Canada, to put it very nicely. But we need more stuff like this. It's a real shame in Canada. I would spend the next 2 days here in Jasper, awaiting my connecting train to come in. And from all the abundance of wildlife surrounding it, there's so much wildlife here in the park, to a boat cruise over Maligne Lake. I'm telling you, September and October are such a phenomenal time to come and explore the park without the summer crowds. And 2 days later, I would head back to Jasper's century-old station. And what time does the 10 a.m. train arrive? Well, you guessed it, 3 p.m. And after how smooth my Prince Rupert to Jasper portion of my trip went, I had a feeling my luck was about to run out. But like I mentioned earlier, I knew exactly what I was signing up for. And yes, my 36-hour train ride back to Winnipeg is 5 hours behind schedule, and likely with plenty of more delays ahead. This just means I get more value for the ticket price, my cost per hour goes down, and most importantly, I get to see portions of the route in settings I otherwise wouldn't see if we were on time. You learn to take the good with the bad, and the rain with the shine. I've always known Canada's beautiful. These colors. I've never seen this before, but in a world of not many firsts left on my bucket list, it doesn't get much better. If you are new here, hit that subscribe button to see how this journey ends next week, from dining in first class to showering on board and my sleeper arrangements. It's slow, it's delayed, all while thundering across the prairies and rumbling over towering trestles as I make my way back into Winnipeg. All that and more coming up next week, so hit that subscribe button for more awesome, patriotically Canadian videos just like this. And if you're planning your next train trip, you should check out today's video sponsor, CanadaRail.ca. Whether you're looking to take the Rocky Mountaineer through the Southern Rockies to Banff, or out of Jasper to Vancouver, Halifax to Vancouver, or any other custom itinerary across the country, they build your custom dream trip by train across Canada. And I'll put a link in the video description about Canada Rail Vacations, specifically at CanadaRail.ca. They've helped me out quite a bit, and I think they can help you too. I want to say thank you so much to them for sponsoring this video, and thank you so much to you for watching. And I will see you next week to pick this journey up and finish it off into Winnipeg. I'll see you then.